I used to be a faceless author online, not because I wanted to be mysterious or cool, but because I was scared. Hi, I'm Nomi Palmer. I'm an indie author from Canada, and today I want to talk about why I started out as a faceless author online and have pivoted into showing my face every single day. So the story starts when I was born. I was raised in a Christian home. My uncle was a minister. In midlife, my dad became a minister. We went to church every single Sunday. We never swore. Nobody really drank in my family. We certainly never kept alcohol in the house. I didn't even listen to popular music. I listened to like Christian popular music like Newsboys, DC Talk, Miss Angie, Considering Lily. You've probably never heard of any of those people unless you also grew up in a Christian home. The closest people to me when I was growing up were my family and my extended family, all of whom were very Christian. I don't see anything wrong with having a faith or Christian belief system. However, I do feel like there's this pressure that you have to believe everything exactly the same or you're sinning. So even writing stories where my characters swear or have sex or do anything that's considered sinful, I didn't feel like I could do. So here's the story of how I went from hiding behind that shame and that fear and finally coming out of my shell and being public online and what happened when my family found out. So like I say, I was raised in a very Christian society. I really only knew other Christians. I went to school with obviously lots of people who were not Christian, but it was very much at the forefront of my life that I was a Christian first and everything else was second. We would talk about the secular world and how it would tempt us. And, we weren't really a part of that world. We were a part of a different world and a different plan. And we weren't supposed to mess around with stuff from that world, which included, like I say, sex, swearing, drinking too much, doing drugs. Anything that was considered sinful was really looked down upon. But more than that, it was a fear in me that if I ever crossed that line, not only would I be sinning against God, but I would be disappointing my mother. When I was a teenager, purity culture was a really big deal in the Christian circles, and we were encouraged not to even kiss our boyfriends until our wedding days, which was kind of a joke because I would never even dream of having a boyfriend, because what if I wanted to have sex with him, and then what if we did, and then was I going to hell, and yada, yada, yada. So I actually never dated until I was in my 20s. Part of it was because I was afraid of sinning, and part of it was because I was just such an introverted, shy person, and I do believe I'm on the autism spectrum. So I had a hard time relating to people. I had a hard time making friends in general, but I couldn't even imagine putting myself out there to be with a boy. And feeling like I am on the autism spectrum, I took all these rules extremely seriously. I took them like vows. I took them to heart, and I never wanted to do anything wrong. I just wanted to be a good girl. And I was. I didn't drink or party or do anything. Like I say, I didn't date till I was in my 20s. I was a very, very good Christian girl. And a lot of that was because I didn't want to disappoint my parents. I love my family. They mean a lot to me. Thinking that I could have disappointed them is crushing. Then came controlled burn. It was 2013, and I was actually having a mental health crisis. I had been improperly diagnosed the year before as just having anxiety and depression, and was put on SSRIs, which completely screwed me up because I actually have bipolar 2. If you have bipolar 2, you generally cannot take SSRIs. They will make you suicidal. They will push you to the edge of everything like depression, anxiety. Just, you're not going to be feeling well. So in the spring of 2013, I was finally correctly diagnosed and medicated and started a self-discovery journey where I just wanted to know once and for all who I am, not who I'm supposed to be. And part of that journey was writing Controlled Burn, where I just finally allowed myself to write a book the way I wanted to write a book. I'd started writing a lot of books in the past, and I had in fact written a book called Bitter Girls when I was in college. We do not talk about bitter girls. There's one person I know who loves Bitter Girls, and I'm sorry, Jamie, but it's not good. Anyway, I finally wrote a story that I wanted to tell, and it was a story filled with swearing, sex. The main male character struggles with so many addiction issues, including sex addiction, drug addiction, alcohol addiction. Both the female main character and the male main character came from deep, deep trauma. And I felt like for once I was writing from my true voice and from what's in my soul to write, which is these kind of messy, dramatic, complex love stories that don't necessarily have a happy ending. And I knew it was the best thing I'd ever written. And I just left it on my hard drive because if I shared it, I was betraying my family. That's how it felt to me. Fast forward to 2020, and I was on maternity leave with my first baby. And I don't know why, but I just randomly, it was COVID. There was a lot going on. I just found Controlled Burn on my hard drive, and I thought, I'm going to read through this. And as I was reading through it, I just started editing it. And before I knew it, I had a completed manuscript on my hands, and it was tight. It was good. Now, I did do head hopping, which I didn't know wasn't allowed because I love to read Harlequins, and all Harlequins head hop. So I just thought that was a normal way of writing, but whatever. I'm still very proud of Controlled Burn despite the head hopping and the way I wrote it. I think it's a great story, and I plan to rewrite it one day where it's not head hopping. I digress. I polished it up and I had it ready to go. It was just a fun little side project I was doing. And then I left it on my hard drive again. Fast forward another 2 years to 2022. It's almost been 10 years since I wrote the manuscript for Controlled Burn. I'm on maternity leave again with my second baby, and I'm realizing I do not want to go back to a traditional job. Traditional jobs are really not great for my mental health. They take me away from my kids, and I was having so much fun doing my own little projects and my own little things. I thought, what can I do from this to monetize myself, to be able to work from home and be with my kids and take care of my mental health? And what can I do? And then I was reading a Harlequin, and I decided to look up the author. And I found out that she'd written hundreds of books. I started doing some quick math, and I thought to myself, I can do this. I can write little 100-page Harlequins and crank them out, really fast. And if I turn over as many copies as she has, I'll be a millionaire. That was my thought process. And then I realized I have a completed manuscript sitting on my hard drive. So I started doing some research. And in 2023, I self-published Controlled Burn. But I knew I could never let my family find out. So I was a faceless author. I didn't want my name anywhere in the book just in case my family somehow came across it. I knew they would connect it back to me probably anyway because everyone knew I'd written this Sims story called Intense Feelings, and my cat's name is Nomi. So I wasn't really hiding that well. Maybe a part of me wanted to get caught. I don't know. But it was all in an attempt to not have to put my family through any embarrassment or shame of what I was doing. And I just didn't want to disappoint or upset anybody, especially my mom. So I didn't blow up overnight, obviously. Still haven't blown up, still working on that. But I've been doing well with the Passion series. And this year alone, I've surpassed 2,000 followers on Instagram, which was my goal for the year. I'm already there. And I've also surpassed 1,500 subscribers on TikTok, which is a little crazy because just over a month ago, I only had 400 subscribers. So I'm really going places on TikTok, it seems. Hi, Editing Nomi here. I said subscribers on TikTok. I definitely meant followers. I have no actual subscribers on TikTok, just to be clear. Okay, bye. Also, in April, I went to my first book fair, my first in-person event called Pages and Pleasures in Kitchener, Ontario. And it changed everything. I sold out of every single book that I had. People were buying the second book, Immortal Passions, knowing they had to read Intense Feelings first, but just wanting to get a signed copy of one of my books. People came to the book fair just to see me. People brought their own copies of Intense Feelings to get signed by me. And I thought, what is happening? I made so much money in one day, I couldn't even believe it. I cried on the way home. I thought, maybe this is finally happening. Maybe this is finally taking off. And it is. I'm getting offers for other things that I can't talk about yet because I haven't signed any deals, but I am getting offers for other opportunities. I'm going to more book fairs. I'm being showcased in my local library. Because I was approached by a woman from the Chamber of Commerce at a garage sale where I had just decided to set up my table and see what happened. And it quickly became apparent to me this summer that I would have to tell my mom the truth. Because what if she found out and I hadn't told her? She would definitely hate me if that happened. So I just knew something had to change. I talked to my sister, who is now my personal assistant, and she advised me to talk to my dad first. I went to my dad fully expecting him to be completely disappointed in me and ashamed. But he was so proud. He was so happy. He is a creative person himself. He had a band in the 70s called Lazarus. He is a singer. He has his own YouTube channel where he posts his songs. I think for him to realize that one of his children was making money and possibly going to be making a living off of something creative, doing something I love, really trumped any swear words or sex scenes in the book that I had been so worried about. And I told him, I said, I don't think mom's going to accept this. I think she's going to disown me. And he was just like, what are you talking about? She's going to be so happy. I'm like, but Dad, there's sex. I couldn't tell her myself. I asked him to tell her for me, and he did. And she was upset that I hadn't told her what I was up to. She was disappointed that I used bad language and explicit sex scenes. But she's happy for me too. She's proud of me too. And I didn't expect that. She actually was more mad at me because she's the one who originally told me to somehow make money from the Sims version of Intense Feelings. She was like, why are you not selling this? This is so good. People would buy this. And I said, I can't. It's got copyrighted material. It's Sims pictures. I can't sell this. Turn it into a novel, she'd say. And I never did until I did. So credit goes to my mother, Nomi Palmer. She is the original one who pushed me to pursue my dreams. So it was all kind of for nothing. Hiding was for nothing. I still haven't told my extended family, and I probably won't. But my immediate family all knows. My sister is, like I said, she's my personal assistant now. She's my PA. I'm working on getting her own email under my domain. But I kind of have to do things slowly because I'm not working right now. I don't have a lot of money. So every little bit really helps, and every sale helps, and every subscription helps. And apparently being myself helps, and just showing my face and my personality is what's getting me more traction, is what's getting me more followers, more readers, and is pushing me out there. And I just want to keep growing and keep expanding. And while I do have to return to work hopefully soon, I mean, I've been applying to jobs, but it's a terrible job market right now. I do have to return to work. I hope one day to be able to confidently leave the traditional workforce and do this all the time. Regardless of if I have to work until I retire or if I can do this until I retire, I'm going to be doing this all the time anyway. This is my passion, not to make a pun. This is truly my passion. And I am so happy to have this community that I'm building with you guys. I will be launching a Patreon this week, and I also have subscriptions available on TikTok. It would mean a lot to me if you would consider subscribing on either platform, because again, it's just going to help me get to that place where I can do this full time, which means I can write stories faster, which means you get more books. So it's a win-win for everyone, really. So yeah, I started as a faceless author, and now I'm showing my face without makeup because this is me and I'm not hiding anymore.